When it comes to Steam Next Fest, I really dislike how many fantastic games are being overshadowed by the trend of everybody jumping to play anything mainstream, which includes extraction shooters, Dark Souls, and anything related to MMOs or even MOBAs. All of which I find uninteresting because it's frequently low effort or simply recycled content that is popular among the very basic average player who plays no more than 5 games per year, somebody who prefers to play a single game exclusively day in and day out. So for this event, I spent over 70 hours going through thousands of varieties of demos, short, long, and everything in between to assemble them into an organized, short showcase of the ones that I thought are worth your time to check out. Obviously, my list will differ from somebody else's because I don't care much for the average game. I'm searching for fascinating games that will be able to keep my attention with strong gameplay, plot, and whatever the developers want to express through whatever they're doing. First impressions are absolutely everything for me. Therefore, a game must be functional, it must sound well, and it must play well. But most importantly, it must be fun to play. Extra points if they're trying to be unique. If one of these 3 components are missing, depending on whether the remaining ones can carry the game itself, that would be the reason that you don't see it here. A large number of mainstream games were removed from this list because I didn't find them very appealing, and I definitely did not play every single game that was offered at Steam Next Fest, either because there was no demos or because I did not notice them while browsing. I tried to match them to the genres that I thought were more suited to the game as a whole, even if there were several. I'm very sorry if your game didn't make this list. I'm pretty strict with what I consider fun, and I feel like I have a decent eye for finding these games and comparing them to others in both good and negative ways. Sharing this video with your friends is the best way to show your support for the work that I put into making them. You can see the timestamps and also the pinned comment below where I list off the genre and every game mentioned. And remember...
Oh my god, wait, you're right. Please wishlist and follow 10 Dead Dubs on Steam.
If you don't, I will cease to exist.
10 Dead Doves is quite distinctive, resembling an abstract art of horror and comedy. The developers certainly have a lot of joy and enthusiasm for this project, as evidenced by the demo's ending, which made me want to wait patiently for the release. This is definitely something you would want to keep tabs on if you're into horror passion projects and just plain cool developers that actually have something they want to express to you as a creator. Story Were Closed is a very unique take on Silent Hill with neon colors, both good and bad due to the gameplay if you did play with the controller, which sucks. The first person and third person perspectives in combat were very interesting. The story was solid and the visuals were unusually appealing, with the capability of keeping me motivated to see what it had to offer, and it had to offer a lot. Meeside is an AI game, and while I'm not a fan of AI games, particularly their last game, in which you had to flee a psychotic girlfriend who wouldn't let you leave, what they've got going on here with Meeside is actually rather good, all things considered. You're a lonely guy who's become trapped in his phone by the girl that he's been dating in a virtual game, and the level of horror and mystery was spot on. Silly polybeast has been a very hot topic on Twitter this year, as something that will appeal to those who are looking for something similar to Resident Evil, but distinctive in its own right. It's a top-down and side-scrolling survival horror that felt excellent, especially with their unique traversal mechanics and other gameplay elements. No Skin was a truly unique horror experience. It's a horror game with a more mysterious and complex turn-based storytelling style, with various choices accessible to you with a high and low possibility of success as you travel around your house in a drunken haze, confronted by monsters and friends and just things that shouldn't be there on a quest to find the skin of the no-skin creature that threatens your life if you do not return what you've taken from them.
Everyone in Outsmith knows about Stoker Manor. Children say it's haunted. Strange noises coming from it all the time. There's something wrong with this place.
Among Ashes is a surprisingly well-developed virtual desktop perspective from the early 2000s, complete with forums and MSN Messenger. The gameplay was really solid, and the puzzles were actually puzzles and very interesting, although a little unclear at first. While I didn't go far into the game because of this, it felt like it has something good going for it currently. Pink Noise is a very good visual novel with a very mysterious story behind it. Despite the fact that there is very little player participation, there appears to be some eventual choices that you can make to make it branch off into alternative routes, which were not accessible through the demo. While it is slow, once you get past that initial hurdle, it becomes a really good read. Tribe 9 was actually really good. While it does have a bit of a mobile feel to it, the fact that the game is in the same style and story as Danganronpa makes it rather appealing to continue playing. Given the different contrasts in their graphical transitional sections, I'm interested in where they decide to take this with their full release, not exactly knowing what they'll do next, though I do hope the combat gets changed so it's not as bullet spongy. Urban Myth Dissolution Center is a graphically stunning game that follows the story of a young girl who's been tricked into joining an organization. This organization handles cases similar to detective work but for urban legends and subjects involving the unknown. She has the ability to see things that others cannot, and she can use these abilities to help solve crimes. Not that she has any choice now that she's indebted to the entire organization. Meat Grinder was, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know much about the inner workings of somebody who can sit down and consume massive amounts of mind-altering substances and then write it down into a book. So I had no idea what was actually going on in this introduction. It was interesting to look at, and I was confused throughout the entire experience, but I believe it would be more suitable for somebody who can identify to the experiences of the more weird variety. Tower Factory combines automation, strategy, expansion, and tower defense. It's a very fun and addictive mix of diverse aspects that encourages you to keep playing. While it may look quite easy, the fact of the matter is it's all real time and you have no ability to pause the game. This makes it so much more difficult to micromanage and to keep up your defense while also your production needs. Everwater has come a long way with their development, having played through their prior demos and unreleased full version of the game and having a lot of fun with it. Despite its severe difficulty, they appear to have retraced their steps and added in many new features and ideas to make it more balanced. It's essentially a tower defense game with the idea of expanding outwards to break through the darkness to acquire resources and to find the hidden portal to defeat the boss, all while fending off massive hordes of monsters with a triangle combat system. Cat Guardian tries to mix a deck builder with a tower defense. It has some strange components that felt very cheesy and unbalanced, allowing you to breeze through a lot of the stages, but it looked like something to look forward to in the future. It's a normal tower defense game that basically turns all of the towers into cards which can be placed anywhere. Stray Path falls more into the strategy area and is quite similar to how Ring of Pain plays. You begin with nothing, using your health as a source of power and life. You have to keep your health high enough to finish the chamber that you're currently in, escape, or kill everything to obtain additional relics, weapons, and equipment to assist you to dive further. It's very difficult at first, but after you get the feel of moving foes and objects around, it becomes rather enjoyable. It actually felt very similar to Solitaire, which added a whole different perspective to the gameplay.
I am the first to hear their whispers, and those who stand in our way shall fall.
Whispers of the Eyeless is a cult simulator that in terms of complexity seems to be attempting to emulate Darkest Dungeon. You descend into the depths, gathering resources through events and fights before returning to strengthen the cult or challenging it further as supplies dwindle. Aside from the enjoyable challenging gameplay, the rest of the game felt a little bit confusing, probably due to a lack of visible support in their user interface. Axe Ghost was surprisingly challenging. Here you manage the symbols on the board as they fall towards you. You're trying to match enough to kill them before they reach the bottom of the screen. You can push them away, destroy them, convert them, and do other things, but you only have a limited number of actions and effects that you can use, and you cannot destroy them every turn. It's a stage-based puzzle strategy game, and while very minimalistic, it was quite fun to experience. Knights in tight spaces is what it sounds like, controlling a team of knights and other classes in a tight strategic and tactical turn-based deck builder, where you must complete each encounter with a variety of different combination effects and powers that allow you to influence your surroundings, like knocking an enemy off of a cliff, chain comboing damage together, and so much more, with equipping everybody with gear and other bonus effects. Warside is Advanced Wars, feeling very similar and was quite fun to play. It's also comparable to Wargroove, though it's not as great. The gameplay was alright, but several of the units felt very overpowered, such as the bulldozer clearing out entire waves of enemies while they were lined up near a settlement or even water, with very little issues, making it definitely need some tweaks later on. If you're into tactical turn-based strategy, definitely check it out. Beastie Ball is a game that I've actually been following for quite some time, having played through their prior title, Chicory: A Colorful Tale. The idea of creating a game centered on turn-based sports sounds very strange, yet it works so great for a casual game, capturing beasties and training them together to become bonded as rivals, friends, and any other of the extra effects and bonuses as you spike your way to victory in the many different tournaments for your town, which is being threatened by the government to be destroyed, removing your beastie's sanctuary. Pipkin mostly takes on the role of a Halloween-themed Pokemon game, in which you run around collecting Pipkin to utilize them to fight other trainers and other wild Pipkin. While there were certain flaws like the power spike with characters present at the very start of the game, it was still oddly satisfying despite my lack of interest for Pokemon-related games. Arrow 2 is a really great rhythm game. I'm a big fan of rhythm games, and this one felt more like Thumper or any other similar game like that. It's very interesting because of the unique combat and on-the-beat rhythm gameplay with wonderful music provided by Monster Cat. It also seemed to have a lot of incentive for you to play daily and weekly, which is also very good to see. Rift of the Necrodancer was pretty good, though the music that they had for the demo alone didn't really feel all that powerful. So I do hope that they include more down the line that actually has a bit more flow to them so that you can really get into it. Because honestly, when you've played enough Rift of the Necrodancer, you kind of grow tired of the same songs over and over again. So if you're a fan of Friday Night Funkin', you'll notice the identical Arrow Key Dance Dance Revolution gameplay, which I do find to be much more difficult because I'm just not that used to it. Spilled is a very casual cleanup simulator where you take on the role of an oil spill rig cleaning up the sea and lakes to help the animals. The developer herself is rather happy to present themselves as somebody who lives on a boat, taking care of wildlife whenever possible. And she's creating this game on the side. It's very cozy, easygoing, and very enjoyable to play through. Decollete Decoration appeared to be a very cute and very easygoing story about a deceased girl who wants nothing more than to bring her beloved to the afterlife with her because she does not want to be alone. She does everything in her power to try to get his attention, and she only has a couple of weeks before she ends up moving on. The game plans on having 6 endings and several episodes around it all. It was actually quite charming to experience, and I feel like it's going to be something wonderful. Tiny Kingdom is a very relaxing casual strategy game in where you have to, in a sense, survive long enough to be able to rebuild your kingdom's castle. And you do this by shuffling through a deck and building a world out of the pieces that you acquire. All while managing your food and continuously raising your population over time. It can get quite addictive as it pulls you in. Bot World Odyssey takes a more casual auto-battler approach to the creature collecting genre. While the demo itself was definitely cut short, I really like what is being presented here. It wasn't that challenging, but it was very fun to play through with the augmentation of your bots and the ability to choose their specific upgrades and team compositions. I was also interested in the potential for there to be even more powerful bots or maybe even special variants down the line. Inspector Waffle's early days takes a step back with their graphic direction compared to their last game, Inspector Waffles, as it was also a very fun detective game, even though it was really brief. I hope to see more of his doggo partner. It's a shame that he wasn't around. You'll be plunged into a Game Boy Advance style detective story in which you must solve crimes by attentively investigating and piecing together all of the clues. While it was a touch harsh on the eyes, it was otherwise a quite promising game. Cloudy Valley reminded me of a short hike, as you roam around the campsite looking for discussions, tasks, and tokens to unlock the new game elements. When the game is fully released, you'll be able to explore more of the islands, climb mountains, and find more features, and also help your papa with his goal to acquire the elusive golden clover. Dino Cop is something that you'd be interested in if you're a fan of detective games, especially Frog Detective, or if you're just somebody who likes to get to know the NPCs that you meet. You're assigned to a case in which human meat has been discovered at a hotel. You're tasked in determining who or what is going on, as humans and dinosaurs coexist without eating one another. Well, besides the Brachiosaurus' meat, of course. It's very cute, and while the demo only lasted so long, I can't wait to see the full game. Call of Boba is a very slow casual life simulation about getting away from the big city and taking care of yourself, as seen when the main character returns to his hometown to start over when he quite literally works himself to death, a story of the average Japanese citizen. With nowhere else to go, he bumps into a childhood acquaintance and offers to assist him with their boba shop. It includes other components that isn't solely focused on the cafe mechanic, so that's nice. Stars in the Trash felt like something that a lot of people would be interested in, a story about a cat and a dog. Though it was very questionable why they chose specific designs with the loading screens, which kept making the game feel a little bit too dirty. Yeah, I'm sure somebody will lose their minds and laugh out loud as a cat drags its ass along the floor, but I just found that it took away from the experience, at least in terms of how the random actions would take over unexpectedly when you were just becoming immersed in the story and also the gameplay. Unrail 2 is an improved version of the first game. The multiplayer sessions were very stable, and the folks that I encountered were very enjoyable to play with, chopping down trees and mining stone to help bring the train to its destination without causing it to derail. It's a fantastic game to play with your friends. Even if you don't have friends, the servers are always there and they're always open for you. Wild Woods is the same as Unrailed, but with a distinctive thematic approach to it. Here you play as adventurers defending a wagon as it travels throughout the wilderness, battling a variety of enemies while storing wood, food, and cash to get through the night. Aside from currently being P2P lobbies and local co-op, it was alright even if I was only able to play solo.
Passenger is lost. So is this world.
Mandragora didn't feel like a Metroidvania, but rather it felt like the Trine series with the Souls-like element added on top of it with the puzzles removed. I really liked it. The visuals were fantastic and the combat was enjoyable and satisfying, especially since you can just go around farming monsters repeatedly to get more stats to defeat some of the stronger enemies, and of course the story was really well done, where I actually stopped to eavesdrop on some of them out of curiosity.
You possess power.
While the branch can infinitely reconstruct your physical form, it cannot instill hope.
AI Limit is for those who have played Dark Souls and Nier Automata and want more anime-styled vibes. I believe it did it reasonably well, although I still would be lured to the few other Souls-like anime games such as Code Vein. The designs and visuals of AI Limit just felt limited. The locations felt a bit uninspired, and it was an alright experience, but I would like to see more with the full release of this game. Tinkerlands is Terraria, and I mean substantially inspired by Terraria, but it doesn't feel like it's striving to be itself, rather it's trying to be another Terraria in a different viewing angle, from the soundtrack to the UI similarities. It definitely has a lot going for it, but I couldn't help but notice numerous things that kept reminding me about Terraria. You might want to keep tabs on this one in case they do try to be a little bit more themselves with a few things. Windblown was made by the Dead Cell developers. The gameplay is fast-paced, with innovative character designs and mechanics for entering the vortex to defeat the foes and traversing the plane to face the bosses at the end. Controlling each character felt very responsive, though the actual combat itself could definitely use some polish for their rotations. It's definitely a big step away from their previous art designs, but it's a welcome one to see.
Prepare for extraction.
Riftstorm has been a game that I've played on several playtests. It has a lot of potential to be a very enjoyable co-op loot and shooter with very interesting boss fights and story modes. Though I question their decision to offer a more complicated tutorial than their previous tests, if you're the type who enjoys mindless farming of missions with friends as you both grow stronger with time, you might want to check this one out for yourselves because it is quite fun. Garden of Witches lacks proper iframes, so the game itself, while minimalistic and fun, is currently the type of game in which you have to sit down for 3 to 4 hours farming the same boss over and over until you can finally purchase the upgrades that are required to actually have a fighting chance. Mostly because you start off as a very slow and clumsy witch. Her garden is being seized by corruption, so she needs the help of her other witch friends to organize a tea party to combat it before it consumes everything that she values. I enjoyed what it had to offer, but I also hated the grind. The iframes should be a dash feature, otherwise the gameplay will stagnate. To Kill a God takes the basic action roguelike and transforms it into a Path of Exiles map in terms of arena growth and obtaining special powers, random equipment, and talents along the way. The use of stat modifiers to assist you to scale quickly and also to interact with specific nodes was very innovative, but the gameplay itself was very simple with the current state, with the same creatures, ridiculous scaling, clumsy dodge, and very slow attack animations. With the full release, if they make these changes, it'll actually be a very good game that I could see myself playing through more. Redline Crooks is a chaotic and exhilarating high-speed carnage-filled roguelike racing game in which you must evade the cops and bounty hunters as they hunt you down. There is absolutely no funny business or anything else behind the gameplay. It is simply straight and to the point for quick action. There is a very interesting design for each character and of course every enemy. It felt like something that you would find on Newgrounds back in the day. Lunavania felt a little bit strange. It doesn't feel entirely like a roguelike because it does add many features later on. I can't say that it felt particularly responsive. Visually, it looks very good with plenty of references to games that the creator appears to love, which I'm sure you'll also notice as well. I just felt like the combat itself could use a little bit more refinement before it becomes a decent game. Rogue Labyrinth, despite having a very convoluted tutorial that they are working on improving, takes on a more nostalgic approach to the genre by immersing you in the world that feels like something you would see in a classic era game, with a soundtrack that absolutely slaps. The combat is a little bit quirky, but the game has the potential to be a spectacular experience so long as they fix these issues. Cursed Bane might look familiar if you've played games like Children of Morta. It was a lot of fun to play because your decisions influence how your upcoming battles and the story goes in terms of what you encounter and how it all ends. The collision in combat could definitely be better since you can often get trapped inside of NPCs that are helping you die in battle. That's an easy quick fix by letting you dash through them.
Welcome to the City of Dreams, where anyone can get a fresh start. Where a corrupt president enjoys a bit too much power. Well, sometimes you just have to go rogue. And you can do all of it with friends. Streets of Rogue 2.
Streets of Rogue 2 is great even though they decided to take a different approach to their original concepts. It was still quite a lot of fun. The pure mayhem and destruction remain, but many other components more than compensate for the sudden shift. It's everything that you would have hoped for and more for a sequel to the original as you take down the mayor of the town. Oh man, this game is like a tug at my heartstrings. Sulfur is a fascinating twist on the action roguelike and extraction aspects that appear in many games. You descend into the pits beneath a church that you're helping to maintain, which appears to be in the afterlife. Kill, gather, extract, and become stronger as you go deeper. It wasn't really demanding. It was more of a take what you know you can handle and then get out before you lose everything type of situation. Rogue Flight is definitely a game for people like me who grew up playing original old-school titles like Star Fox 64. There are many extra components that have gone into the development of this game, such as special effects rather than just shooting your basic weapon and occasionally using your missiles, such as drift lasers and more. You're able to make a variety of control tweaks such as the inverted Y, which I find mandatory, as well as the ability to customize your ship with bonus damage and modules which will be available on launch. Bad to Bad is a smartphone game, sure, but it plays surprisingly well for what it has to offer: base construction, squad organization, and gear equipment for combating zombie furries. You'll be organizing your loadouts, managing your supplies, scavenging for gear, and progressing through the story, which takes you further into hell and into even more challenging combat. Now all we have to do is wait to see if they try to add in pay-to-win components.
I got you in my scope.
Welcome to my lab.
Wild Assault appears to be one of the more hyped up games, but in reality it was full of bot players, and earning MVP every single game after mowing down non-players was not that enjoyable, despite the fact that the gameplay and classes were fairly enjoyable to play with, which says a lot given that the servers were again loaded with non-players for a demo. If they lose the bot players and replace it with actual players, it could be a lot of fun in the future, even if it is very unbalanced.
Care to explain what's going on, Captain? It appears Dr. Aura has infiltrated the systems. How? I'm not sure. But it means you are all in danger. Your priority is to survive.
Sounds easy enough.
Unit Down Charge is a step in the right direction, compared to Randy's previous choice of visual style for their previous game called Unit Down, which didn't really matter all that much because their games are always centered around being heavily engaging and very fun. I'm actually quite proud of them for improving their visual style, rather than sticking with the neon vomit latex style that they had chosen before. My only opinion would be to have the keybind of 1, 2, 3 for character selection, as using the scroll wheel isn't all that responsive or comfortable. Star Invaders is an interesting combination of Alien Invaders meets Deck Builder. Using your combined deck over time, you'll be able to defend against the attacks of enemies plummeting down to Earth. It's actually fairly enjoyable and rather challenging with how the card and robot components interact with movement and randomization to help you clear a level with limited choices. Doors of Insanity is a permadeath dungeon crawler in which you construct a deck and go through the dungeon in pursuit of stronger cards, equipment, and more difficult encounters, all the while having a wide range of options for how you would like to play your hand, such as using summons, defense, gambling, or just outright damage. It didn't feel too difficult and I really did enjoy it, especially with the character design changing based on what you're currently wearing. Dungeon Deck is a fantastic deck builder with a large number of possible combinations with a genuine impression that it provides a lot of choice right from the start. Because you don't have to start with a default deck, instead you create your entire deck piece by piece using loads of spectacular combo effects. Though unlocking a new deck appears to restart you to the very beginning, which kinda isn't all that fun, I would like to see something a little bit more fun than that. Spellhack is a real-time strategy deck builder in which you must be quick and efficient with your resource management to defeat the beasts that are attempting to destroy your portal. This portal is what keeps everything in check. You are essentially the stronghold that protects Doom City. It's very difficult, especially given the visual 1980s type mood that they've gone for, making it a lot harder to understand what's going on visually and also reading the cards. Great God Grove gives off the finest gremlin vibes. I'm sure you've met folks who behave in such endearing ways that it's just so difficult to distance yourselves from them, because they're such ankle biters. Using the Megapon, which provides you godlike abilities to eat words and items, you'll be interacting with the world around you as you travel around supporting the people of this stricken island, where their previous king has abandoned them, leaving a heartbroken lady in tears, one of the best demos I've had the privilege of discovering.
England and Spain are at war. There are also pirates. Blah, blah, blah.
1,000 gold coins for her safe return.
50,000.
Don't do it for England. Do it for good. In a historically accurate cannon-firing, pistol-shooting, bare-knuckled, beat-down pirate game that was lost at sea for years. Captain Blood. Captain Blood. Ah, all right.
Captain Blood is quite the surprise. After being cancelled due to legal issues a long time ago, it takes you back to a time when games weren't the most visually appealing, but they did have some of the best gameplay available, as seen in titles like Fable and God of War. While the audio could definitely be improved while striking walls and other features, it has so much promise to be a true experience for traditional adventure gamers. How's this? It's like Fable repackaged as a pirate game where you can sail the seas and fight for what's right. Money. Keep Driving feels like what you'd get if you tried to build on a game's premise like Death Road to Canada, where you had to accumulate items and other features to deal with a lot of the events that come your way, from the hitchhikers, petrol, supplies, and so on. You're attempting to get to your friend's house so you can play video games together, but getting there will be a very big challenge with a banger soundtrack and storytelling along the way. Orbo's Exodus has a well-known creator that is known for creating very odd and relatable and enjoyable games, as seen by their previous game Orbo's Odyssey. While they are often extremely short in length, barely lasting more than an hour, you will find the hilarious situations that he gets himself into in this fast-paced journey worth every moment. Mind Cop is a great twist on the point-and-click adventure detective story gameplay. Follow Mind Cop, a cop with the ability to penetrate your mind and extract knowledge that may assist him in solving a case at hand. There are a lot of unique elements here, obviously the detective element, but you also have the multiple choices available, both right and wrong. It was very distinctive and I cannot wait to see more. Frameland, A Binary Tale was amazing. It's rare to see a game that fits the classic criteria of a JRPG. The most recent ones that I did play through fully were Sea of Stars and Chained Echoes, last year while also giving up on so many others. This title just seems so inviting. The art style, the story, the character development, I'm truly invested and eager to see more. There are a lot of good things done, and I know this will be the next JRPG that I cannot wait to play through entirely. Alice's World does some fourth wall breaking to address you directly as a person rather than an NPC, similar to how it was done in a game like One Shot. You help a little girl named Alice, who you are playing as, until she recognizes you. At this point, the story becomes about helping her survive and to get her home to her brother, where she can live out her life quietly. Or so you hope, given the presumably horrible things that are going on in this world. Ascending Inferno is essentially another climb up and fall down rage game. Using a soccer ball who is your brother's soul and specific skills, you'll be able to navigate the extremely difficult precise platforming to escape hell, all while being edged on by him. Once you fall, you have to start over from wherever you recover, and with a rolling ball that is sure to be very frustrating, but surprisingly I was able to stomach it for some time. The Dream Machine combines claymation with interactive point-and-click puzzles, and a wild and unforgettable story about exploring other people's dreams. I'm actually quite terrified about these visuals. They're frightening because of Tim Burton films, which scared me as a child, but the gameplay itself was really excellent. Some of the puzzles may be aggravating, but the game doesn't hesitate to take risks and attempt new ideas.
Escapement is my magnum opus. Escape that. What a stupid name. The only escape room you will ever need to play. Because you can... Yeah, we'll see about that. How about you escape these nuts? Got him. Huh? Escapement is waiting for you.
Escapement is an escape room horror simulator, and their trailer does an excellent job of attempting to imitate what the great Lucas Big Pants does with his stop-motion point-and-click adventure stories. It felt quite condescending in a humorous way, continuously badgering your intelligence as you bumble through each of the puzzles thrown out before you. It has a terrific sense of eerie atmospheric dread, and the demo itself seems to have a solid story foundation despite its brief length with plenty of secrets to discover. Soulmates is a point-and-click puzzle horror game, in which you must navigate the haunted mansion in pursuit of your friend who has gone missing since their investigation. You'll have to hide and stay safe, solve puzzles, and find her before... Oh my god. There's more to this game than meets the eye. It's also a dating simulator in which you must collect the stuff before your sanity runs out while avoiding the spirits that roam the hallways. And that pretty much sums up all of the games that I was able to fish out of the sea of games at Steam Next Fest this time around, regardless of whether I knew about them before or not. Hopefully this gives you something to look forward to with their future release. If you have any game that you believe should have been included, please leave me a comment below and I will take a thorough look at them. And if I think they actually are good, I'll add them to the list in the comment below. And if you're an indie developer who wants their game to be looked at as well, I'm always willing to try anything and everything until something clicks.